we should act now a passage of this bill, or else, if we continue to this tragedy that we will encounter, Madam Chair, this will be known to the entire world that we have a country of falling bridges, Madam Chair. That this is the ultimate solution of the problem, to establish a Philippine Bridge Safety and Regulatory Authority to solve this problem once and for all. Because I know for the fact that the structural defect is not only a defect, but defect of our provisionary and a defect of accountability. And up to this day, no one held accountable.
Nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask, where will we get funding for this agency that the honorable gentleman sought to create?
I raised today in the matter of a personal, collective privilege, a matter that affect the integrity of our infrastructure development, and urgently needs for so that we can have a solution to this problem. Mr. Speaker, we have witnessed during this incident involving the collapse of several bridges in our countryside. Bridges from Magapi of Balite, Batangas. Other bridges also from Batangas to from Bohol. The Borja, as well as Clarete Bridge from Bohol. And one also from Pangasinan. And most recently, Mr. Speaker, is the Kabagan Santa Maria Bridge in Isabela. This is the most controversial bridge so far of the entire country, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. A bridge amounting to 1.2 billion, after it was turned over to the end users for 26 days, it collapsed. So, in my own mathematical computations, I found out that this is the most expensive bridge, not only in the entire country, but in the world. 1.2 billion divided by 26 days, more or less, we have 47 million. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, during my analysis and study, I found out that this is the ultimate solution of the problem, to establish a Philippine Bridge Safety and Regulatory Authority to solve this problem once and for all. Because I know for the fact that the structural defect is not only a defect, but defect of our provisionary and a defect of accountability. And up to this day, no one held accountable. Madam Speaker, this is coupled by a board of directors, will be the policy-making body, and an administrator will be the chief operating officers, and to implement whatever the policy of the board. Madam Speaker, the qualifications of the administrator should be an structural engineer by professions, 10 years experience in planning and design, and also construction of bridges, Madam Speaker. So, a 6 years fixed term with no reappointment, and it should be under the office of the President, Madam Speaker. So, to strengthen this bill, this should be supported by technical divisions like bridges engineer from planning and design divisions, bridge safety with forensic investigation division, digital monitoring and analytic system divisions. We have also an internal audit with risk management unit and other technical division, Madam Speaker. So, all of these things will be useless, and this will be futile and inutile one without funding warrant, Madam Speaker. So, I would like to appeal to my colleague to appropriate funds intended for this purpose, Madam Speaker. So, and funding from other sources, like 1% should be allocated from the total allocation of public roads and highways for infrastructure. And the most important, Madam Speaker, is to the 10% bridge toll revenues from national bridge toll. Madam Speaker, these important and urgent needs to passage this bill, for the passage of this bill. We cannot wait or allow another bridge to collapse before we act. We should act now, Madam Speaker. Well, tomorrow may be too late. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good day.
I ask the distinguished gentleman from Masbate, the province known as the Rodeo capital of the Philippines, if he is ready to yield to some interpellation, Madam Speaker.
Very much willing, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, napaka-timely po itong ginawang privilege speech ng ating sponsor. Dahil ang daming nangyaring nagbabagsakan na ng mga tulay sa Pilipinas. At marami po dito ay napakalumang mga tulay na. Yung iba mga war reparations pa yan na bakal ng government of Japan. Kahit po yung bakal na ginamit sa San Juanico Bridge ay reparation pa rin yan sa gira. Madam Speaker, pangalawa po ay napakahalaga dahil alam niyo yung ugali ng mga Asians. Maraming beses na ang sinasabi ang isang tulay o ang isang sasakyan, kahit yung sasakyan, sinasabi ang load limit 15 tons. Pero sa totoo, kinakargahan ng lampas ng 15 tons, 20 tons, umaabot pa ng 30 tons. Kahit po yung mga truck na ginagawa na, kaya ako nag-advertise sa mga Hapon. Pero pag sinabi ng Isuzu, Hino, 15 tons ang load limit, kahit kinargahan yung sasakyan ng 20 or 25 tons, hindi pa bumabagsak yung sasakyan. Kasi prepare yun para sa Asian na nagbiyabiyahe. Kaya, Madam Speaker, napakahalaga po nito bago magbagsakan ang ating iba pang mga tulay. And therefore, I would like to ask the distinguished sponsor, Madam Speaker, that in proposing for the creation of the Philippine Bridge Safety and Regulatory Authority, is this measure born out of a genuine necessity or merely a reaction to current controversies that have gained public attention?
Our tragic incident, the collapsed bridge for several bridges in the entire country, as I've mentioned. 2 from Batangas, 1 from Pangasinan, 2 from Bohol, and another one in Isabela, which is the most controversial bridge so far that I've mentioned. Madam Speaker, we should act now a passage of this bill, or else, if we continue to this tragedy that we will encounter, Madam Chair, this will be known to the entire world that we have a country of falling bridges, Madam Chair.
Second question is that, does this proposed bill creating the Philippine Bridge Safety and Regulatory Authority not duplicate the existing powers and functions of DPWH, particularly in relation to bridge construction, inspection, and maintenance, Madam Speaker?
Madam Speaker, this is independent from public works and highways because we have our own regulatory functions as far as we have a quasi-judicial power. Mr. Speaker, there's no duplications as far as their functions and duties because we have our own structural and technical divisions who are in charge in constructions, planning, design, inspections, and up to maintenance, Madam Speaker.
Thank you for that clarification, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, may I further ask the distinguished sponsor, does the PBSRA, as proposed in this bill, have the authority to impose sanctions on parties found liable for bridge-related violations, including design, contractor, and even DPWH personnel who may have been negligent in their duties?
Madam Speaker, this Philippine Bridge Safety and Regulatory Board can impose sanction and penalties, Mr. Speaker, to those who violated by the contractor as well as the designer, and in the process of implementations, if there will be a defect and damage, the contractor should repair at their own risk. And not only for that, Mr. Speaker, under revised penalty, revised code, Mr. Speaker, that is what we call Article 171 and 172, Mr. Speaker, for government employees and officials. The penalty, Mr. Speaker, is an outright dismissal from service, terminations of eligibility, and forfeitures of all benefits, Madam Speaker, and perpetual disqualifications of holding public office. But if found out that they have falsified the document, a penalty of 6 years and 1 day, and maximum of 12 years imprisonment, and a fine, depending upon the gravity of the offense, Madam Speaker, and perpetual disqualifications of holding public office.
May I further ask, how crucial is the creation of the Philippine Bridge Safety and Regulatory Authority to the ongoing and upcoming construction, rehabilitation, and repair of bridges nationwide? What specific gaps does this agency intend to fill that current government agencies cannot, Madam Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, if this bill will be approved into law, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, and this is very important and crucial, as you have said, considering that if this bill will be approved, we are now mandated solely to oversee structural integrity, that there will be no construction of bridges in our country without proper planning, safety design, follow the construction methodology procedures, and not limited to regular inspections and adequate maintenance. That's all, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is indeed a laudable bill, and I would like to ask, Mr. Speaker, if there's already been consultation with the Department of Public Works and Highways regarding this direction that we'll be going into, Mr. Speaker.
After this bill will be submitted to appropriate committees, Mr. Speaker, there's now a need for the consultations of Public Works and Highways, because not only limited to Public Works and Highways, but also the Department of Transportation and Communication, because this involves maximum loading capacity. For the Public Works and Highways, Mr. Speaker, is that there must be a transition period of this. Transitions in the sense that there will be inventory of all bridges in our country as far as the situations and condition. If there's a need for retrofitting and there's a need for construction of bridges, because it already exceeds the 50 years lifespan of the bridges, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for that answer, Sir Speaker. Speaker, talagang ang pagkakailangan nito. The sponsor just stated about retrofitting. You know, there are rehabilitations of bridges on retrofitting. Sila na lang ang nakakaalam kung paano. Hindi in-explain sa atin kung anong upgrade ang ginagawa sa ating mga tulay. Nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask, where will we get funding for this agency that the honorable gentleman sought to create?
Mr. Speaker, that's a very good question, Mr. Speaker. This is a question of funding warrant. That's why I would like to appeal to my colleague to appropriate funds intended to this purpose and other funding sources, Mr. Speaker, that 1% from a total public works allocation for infrastructure should be allocated by these creations. And 10% from the bridge toll revenues under the existing laws, Mr. Speaker.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, how will this Philippine Bridge Safety and Regulatory Authority coordinate with our respective local government units in the area? Will this cover or include LGU bridges, or would this only be regarding DPWH constructed bridges?
As
And how
far as-
about those which were constructed by, for example, Department of Agrarian Reform, Department of Agriculture? How will you coordinate?
As far as creation of this bridge authority, Mr. Speaker, the coordinations of LGUs at most is very important in monitoring, especially if there will be a disaster. Second, Mr. Speaker, that there is a need and independency of this bill so that there will be a proper coordinations to Department of Transportation and Communication, coordinations from the Public Works and Highways and other agencies, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, napakaganda po ng privilege speech ng ating gentleman from the 1st District of Masbate. Kaya naman po ako po nakumbinsin na napakahalaga ng bill na ito. And if this bill is filed, I would be willing to be a co-author of this measure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, distinguished sponsor.
Thank you, Minority Leaders.